All right, so the Wareham Gatemen fall to the Whitey Red Sox 12-4. I'm Jacob Tobey, joined by Andre Simms, our field reporter, and Jake Garcia, my broadcast partner. And guys, a tough night for Wareham. What'd you see out of this one? We'll start with Jake.
Well, I think the biggest takeaway was the middle of the order tonight was something that exceptionally struggled. 0 for 12 between the 3, 4, and 5 hitters. When you have that type of production out of the middle, it's really hard to succeed as a team. KJ Harrison was held hitless for the first time in a while tonight. This will be his last start, unfortunately, for the Gatemen. So a tough way to see him go. And this offense is going to surely be worse off without him. But Gavin Sheets struggled tonight, as did Colton Shaver. For another game, Robbie Metz came on and was hitless in 2 pinch hit appearances. So the middle of the order was my biggest takeaway tonight, something that they struggled at excelling at.
Andre, takeaways?
Yeah, I think on the flip side of that, and we've talked about this before, the bullpen continues to struggle for this team. Big innings are plaguing this bullpen, even if the starter tonight, Rakowski, was not great, was not sharp, had troubles with command and location. And I think on top of that, if you couple that with a bullpen that can only go a certain amount of time before ultimately imploding, I think it's really hard to win ball games that way. You look at a guy like Jeff Bain, who had 2 1/3 really solid innings, and then the wheels completely fell off. And so you have to be able to sustain your bullpen throughout longer times, especially if your game plan is to only have your starters go 3 or 4 innings in a game.
Yeah, and I think one thing I want to add to that additionally, Jeff Bain, he's a starter back at Cal. He's a reliever for the Gatemen this season, so 2+ innings is more than one would normally anticipate from him. But at the same time, if you're Jerry Weinstein and this coaching staff, you're wondering, how is this guy such an adequate starter at Cal? He had an ERA in the 3s or 4s, which is pretty good, especially for a midweek starter, which he was for the Golden Bears. And then he comes on the Cape and looks really good at times, and then suddenly loses everything at times. We mentioned on the broadcast, times through the order are really starting to hurt him. So you wonder if his future next level is strictly as a reliever, 1 or 2 innings at the most.
What'd you guys see out of Alex Testino tonight? Hitting .500 on the season, went 2 for 4 with an RBI tonight. What do you like out of his production so far?
Well, he's consistent, and that's one thing that a lot of these guys on the roster right now can't claim. He's seeing the ball well. He keeps his hands inside the ball really nicely, and he's not trying to do too much with it. Guys like Destino have so much pop, and normally they're trying to put on a show for all the scouts here. He's staying within himself and taking what the pitcher gives him, and right now that's just been a boatload of singles.
What are you seeing out of Colton Shaver right now? He's really struggling at the plate. Again, couldn't get a hit tonight. What are you seeing out of him?
I think for him, he hasn't been driving the ball. I think his confidence is definitely down because he's taken some strikes, which you see him do before. He was very comfortable hitting with 2 strikes, but now it seems like those 2-strike approaches, those hits aren't falling anymore. And I think for a guy like Colton Shaver, who got off to such a torrid start this season, it's frustrating when you have that early success, because so often you see, especially in this league, people struggle for a little while and then start to succeed. But for Colton Shaver, it's been the opposite narrative so far, and I think that can be frustrating for someone like him who is used to being a very dominant force and a middle-order type guy. So I think for him, he needs to see a couple of balls, drop a couple of balls, split the gap, maybe one go over the fence, because we know he's more than capable of that, and that'll start to get his confidence back up.
All right, so the Gatemen fall to the Whitey Red Sox 12-4. For Andre Simms, Jake Garcia, I'm Jacob Tobey saying so long and good night from Spillane Field.